This podcast is recorded on Gadigal, Turrbal and Yagara land. We pay our respects to the traditional custodians past and present and to any First Nations people listening. Hello and welcome back to Season 3 of the Brand Odyssey podcast, a podcast dedicated to uncovering and celebrating creativity at its finest and not so finest. I'm Kylie Hannaford.
And I'm Miranda Alatum, and we are from Sydney-based brand and design agency 3 Blocks Left. And yes, it's very exciting. We are officially launching Season 3. So that's a bit of allegedly Season 3 because Season 2 was a bit shorter than maybe intended, but we're back and we are more structured and more committed than ever to do a full and great season of all your favourite make and break stories.
Yeah, we fudged Season 2 maybe a little bit, but, we're just
no one's going to check.
We're going to keep moving. So we've introduced a few changes. First up is that we are going to be releasing episodes in tidy seasons. So they'll have around 10 to 12 episodes per season. And these episodes will be released weekly instead of fortnightly. And so we will have a lot more regularity and rhythm to the release of those episodes.
And the last thing is now we will be splitting our episodes between make and break. So one story per episode. That's just because we've just got better at uncovering hidden gems on the internet, and investigative journalism and Google searches have taken our episodes to very long lengths, and we feel like we can get more stories out this way. Also, we're going to be throwing in a couple of bonus episodes with guests, so look out for those. So yeah, exciting times ahead.
Let's get into it. So just a little reminder of the premise of the podcast. So each episode we'll take it in turns to tell each other a story that the other hasn't heard before. So one week it'll be where a creative project triumphs, and the next week it'll be where the wheels have fallen off. And this can be anything from branding, marketing campaigns, signage, cake, and QR code misadventure.
What we like to do is share a little bit about what's been going on in our lives as well. My make story is that we've been really, really busy with some great client projects, which have been super exciting. And then one in particular was a rebrand for a charity, which we love what they do. And it was just a real meeting of two teams coming together and being aligned and really getting along, which is also nice. And they were just all in. So they wanted a brand strategy, a rename, and a new visual identity. And they were just very open to a total reinvention, which as branding designers is kind of like a dream project to work on as well. So it's been really good. And we're just getting to the end stages of that.
I obviously know the project that you're talking about. And yeah, it's been such a positive, fun experience. And I think it's really stretched us in ways, in good ways. And I presented it to the board, and I believe the words breathtakingly beautiful were used.
That was really nice.
It was super fun to rename the charity as well. It was a huge responsibility.
It's brave. That's what we said to them. It's so brave to just be out with the old completely. Not many bigger companies are comfortable to do something like that. So they were super brave, and I think the results speak for themselves. But yeah, that's why we've been so busy. But now we have a little bit more space in our week to get some podcasts out as well. So what's your break? Where did the wheels fall off?
Okay, so on top of that project and just generally being busy, I had a very tightly scheduled holiday. So I had a 2-week holiday in Morocco, which was fantastic.
That's definitely a make.
So that's a make. So I'm not going to talk about that too much. It's more my flight over where I made some miscalculations, let's say. So I was flying Qantas from Sydney to Singapore, then Singapore to London. And I had a few days in London ahead of going to Morocco. So I had a few things I wanted to do, people I wanted to catch up with. So I wanted to really hit the ground running. And so I had a very strong plan to not sleep from Sydney to Singapore, and then to get on the flight at Singapore, wait a couple of hours because that's the long stint, and then pop a still knocks and knock myself out for 8 hours.
Wow,
So,
you you strategized hard.
I did. Yeah, exactly. So I had all the bits and pieces. I had the neck pillow that kind of does up at the front and kind of like hold you there, like up. Hold your neck right up. I love them. If I could walk around with one of them all the time and not be branded a freak, I would. They're so comfy.
I really feel like you just need to do it for a day and see if you still want to.
Okay, maybe I will.
Just woolies with your neck pillow.
So I had a very strong plan, strong strategy, but just a series of unfortunate incidents occurred. And
the still knocks?
So I have taken still knocks before and like been fine on it. I don't want to build this story up too much because I know there's all those stories where people take still knocks and start dancing naked in the, in the bathroom. So nothing that dramatic happened.
That's what I was hoping for. I'm not going to lie. I was like, you have gone completely unhinged on a flight. You're basically bridesmaids, Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, exactly. No, nothing like that happened. Just bits and pieces. We got delayed in Sydney. So we didn't get to Singapore till quite late. And then we got delayed in Singapore by like 3 hours. But we all got shuffled through because it was a quite quick turnover. We got shuffled through security into this like small holding cell almost. And then they didn't delay it by 3 hours. They delayed it by half an hour, then 40 minutes, then 20 minutes. And then
nightmare.
Because if it had been 3 hours, I would have gone out and got a meal because, when you travel, you get those disgusting meals. And so I didn't eat enough. Like I had like 2 wines, on the Sydney to Singapore flight.
I see where this is going.
And then I think I had 1 on the Singapore to London flight. And then I had a bad back. I had middle seats, both legs.
Oh, man.
Because of all those delays, it was kind of like 5 a.m. in Sydney by the time I just boarded the flight. So I'd kind of stayed up all night. So I was a bit delirious. I'm in the middle seat. I've had a couple of wines, not enough food. And I took the still knocks and I woke up like 2 hours later into like, the 14-hour flight. And I just panicked and was like, and my back was still hurting. And anyway, basically, long story short, I totally drugged myself. But I did wake up fine. I woke up in London. I was like, oh, okay, great. I've arrived. And I got off the plane and I started walking and I was like, yes, I am going to throw up. And I threw up twice in Heathrow. I did make it to the bathroom. I threw up and then I got on my way. And then I had to find another toilet and throw up again. It was so hectic.
That is so rough. You'll never forget that. Like if I have all these beautiful memories of rooftops in Morocco and going out into the desert, and you'll also always now have that memory of vomiting in a public toilet in Heathrow.
Yeah. I've been catching up with friends and family and they're like, oh, how was it? How was it? And I'm like, let me tell you about my flight first.
Yeah, let me tell you about my vomit in a Heathrow bed. Not that it was a bed, but it is. Yeah. That probably is your premiere story from the holiday now.
Yeah. There was no other breaks. Everything else went beautifully.
Well, I'm glad. I feel like after that start, you deserve to have a nice, seamless holiday.
Yeah, exactly.
And how did you recover?
Well, luckily, thank God, one of my friends who lives in London picked me up because I don't know how I would have navigated the tube in that state. I was in a state. So she took me home and I had a sleep and some food. I think food and water was the main problem because the second I had some food, like I just had some toast, I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better.
So you basically didn't eat for 24 hours of being in a flight. You're like, who needs food when you can get gin and tonics on?
Free G&Ts.
That's the way to do it.
Anyway, so that is
it. That. All right. Well, should we get stuck into our theses?
Yeah, let's do it.
My make today is actually, and I think it's our first celebrity brand.
Ooh, okay.
Let's be real. I think we have kind of a love-hate relationship with celebrity brands. It's like it's a cheap way to capitalize on yourself. And I think that's what we don't really love about it, isn't it? It's like, oh, of course, there's going to be a Sarah Jessica Parker perfume, or there's a lot of these, especially cosmetic brands out there. There's so many. Every single celebrity seems to have one. the connections can be a bit loose. So I think that's where the eye roll comes in.
Oftentimes they're really just like capitalizing on their like not just their fans but their stans, because like a lot of those celebrities have people who like just follow them so aggressively and have like parasocial relationships with them, so they know that they're going to sell a certain number of units, guaranteed, because there are just stands out there that will buy whatever they put out.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like I was thinking about on doing this that like you could probably survive your life now by only buying celebrity brands. You could probably service your life largely through Kardashian brands. Like there's vitamins, alcohol, clothing, underpants, food. Khloe Kardashian now has popcorn called Clouds.
Really? Wow.
One thing I would credit the Kardashians with, and I feel like they've disrupted the category a little bit, is they really look at their own personal brand and they create things that are aligned with that. So it's not just like a lot of the, beauty ones like Scarlett Johansson beauty brand. Like I'm like, why? What was there not something more interesting about you that you could have used to create?
Yeah, what are you actually adding to the category?
Yeah.
Does the world need another clear lip gloss?
We really, really don't if you walk into Mecca, that's for sure. Anyway, this particular brand, celebrity brand, felt different to me because, like I mentioned, the Kardashians, I felt like this particular celebrity, they looked inward. They are a naturally quirky person with lots of interesting, more unique personality traits, and they reflected that into a really nice range of products. So it wasn't just like a vanity product or a money-making product. It's a bit innovative. It's adding something new into the world. So with that in mind, Kylie, a little guessing game. Mm-hmm. I guess I've dropped a few hints about what it could be, but basically you have no context. Which celebrity brand do you think I'm tackling today?
So the one I had in my mind is probably not right. Quirky has thrown me because I was going to say either Rihanna's Fenty or Kimmy K's Skims, but I wouldn't describe either of those women as quirky.
No, it would be too obvious to do a Kardashian for our first celebrity brand. So I'll give you another clue. It's a guy.
Okay.
And what if I told you this particular celebrity, he really likes pottery?
I think I know this one, Seth Rogen.
I wouldn't have got this. The only reason I stumbled across this brand is I was actually going to do an Airbnb collab and then saw this collab through Airbnb, and Seth Rogen's brand, which is called Houseplant, and it's a cannabis. I mean, the other thing about Seth Rogen that we all know is that he loves to smoke weed and is not afraid to publicize that, and basically will do it on any late night show that will have him or talk about it. So Houseplant is a relatively new company that he made with his longtime writing partner, Evan Goldberg, and it is basically a cannabis brand. But why it really stood out to me is it's a slashy. It also, they create these beautiful range of homewares, largely ceramic homewares that sort of complement his aesthetic and lifestyle.
I didn't actually know that he had a brand though. I knew he liked pottery, but like I didn't really realize, I don't think that he had like a full-blown brand around it.
Since choosing this as a topic, I went deep on his feed and saw that he has this very genuine love of ceramics, which he makes, which I feel like is obviously quite like a natural hobby for someone who also admits to like basically waking up and smoking weed along with his morning coffee all day long. Like it feels like a natural fusion, those two things.
Is he on the wheel or is it hand pottery?
I think it's both.
Okay.
It's both.
All right.
Yeah. So the Airbnb collab actually was with Houseplant, so his brand, that you could go and make pottery with Seth in the Houseplant house. And I'll touch on that later. But yeah, that was the collab that you could buy this on Airbnb. So yeah, he's really into it. I mean, I feel like if you were a Seth Rogen fan, that would be possibly the best moment of your life. Although they say not to meet your icons, heroes. Don't they?
Yeah, not to meet your heroes.
Imagine hearing his laugh in real time.
Yeah, it would be, he's very iconic with that laugh. Can you do it, Miranda?
I just had to pause to get into character. Maybe we should let's play his actual laugh. How did I go?
Well, it's better than I would do. Not as good as your German Arnold Schwarzenegger accent, but pretty good.
I did practice this as well. But yeah, it's such an iconic laugh. I was actually thinking about this and I was like, I feel like he's a very talented, well-rounded man. Much respect for his craft of acting, but I feel like 20% of his celebrity is down to him just having this laugh, like this amazing laugh. And also his voice, like he's got a very iconic voice as well. Like he was just born to be famous because of those two things. Like who doesn't love someone with a great laugh?
Have you seen his latest show, The Studio?
No.
On Apple TV? It's really good.
Do you do that thing when you're watching a show that you go and stalk all their Instagrams?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
I only just finished my Parker Posey White Lotus rabbit hole that I've been in for 2 months.
I did all of them. My favourite was Patrick Schwarzenegger's. He was very funny with his content.
Yeah, he was great. He was very good.
So back to the story of Houseplant. I've actually I've been very journal university assignment about this particular topic, and I've actually up front I'm just going to give a little preamble of the 3 main points of why I chose it as my make.
How structured of you.
Very organised this week. Number 1 is it's pretty. So the brand is sort of like started, I think it's, I probably should have fact-checked this, but I'm going to say in that sort of that 2018-ish, but they did do a rebrand in 2022, and that was an award-winning by the, Design Academy has given it the big tick of approval, this particular rebrand. So that's what we'll be focusing on. And just like as a little teaser tidbit, there was a range of containers that were designed. I think they're the ones that actually have the weed in them. They're kind of designed to be these stackable giant Lego cubes. So just really clever attention to detail aspects of this brand. So very nice looking brand. The second reason I really love this brand and wanted to talk about it was and it's what I talked about up front. It just feels really genuine. So rather than a celebrity wanting to make money, it's more just a celebrity who has a lot of money, but is also creative, and they're just out in the world doing their own thing, and they have the resources to make whatever they want, and then they're doing it really, really well. So as far as celebrities capitalizing on the God-given right to use their name, this is a path that I have more respect for.
Yeah, it feels like a genuine extension of them, right? Like something that they would do for their friends and family. It's like you feel like you're being brought into part of their world almost.
Yeah, I think that's actually how it started. And I mean, for example, this in itself, like he makes these kind of weird little pots, which are all like almost like little clay animal things, which are called gloopy. So they're just clay blobs, and they have those those little black googly eye things that some toys have.
Yeah.
I think basically in the marketing, they lean into this and they're like, of course we made this. We're all high.
That's so funny.
It's just left field, and it's not like, vodka spritzer, it's unique and original. So
yeah, I love that on the website they've got by Seth as a category.
Oh, yeah, his own like little range.
Like as in like it's shop all by Seth, ashtrays, lifestyle, markdowns, like clearly like for people who want to own something that Seth has made. I assume that's what
the
that
big
means.
fans.
Yeah.
No, it is. And I think it's like, there's that sort of like grey area of like, how often are you guys really involved in this whole brand that someone from your team probably told you had to make? Like you can see he's like, oh yeah, these are made by the company, and this is like what I sit around making when I feel like it, So
yeah, exactly. I love that. And he's really talented. They're really beautiful objects.
Yeah, he has a definite eye for design, and that's something that comes through, and I think something that is really important to why I think this brand is so important. So that leads me nice and smoothly into my third reason, which is why I really love this brand, is it's repositioning an entire product category. So that to me is like a huge achievement. So, looking at this is almost like looking at cultural reframing through branding. So this is where I do sound like a university assignment, but basically what it's doing is saying weed isn't just for stoners and tie-dye anymore, it's stylish and even aspirational. And I don't think anyone is doing this with the category. So that is my third key point.
Yeah, I've noticed that, just on design journals and stuff, I've seen some brands being profiled that are for cannabis, and it really is interesting as like the laws have changed in America and Canada that this new product category exists and is being positioned in this really strong design aesthetic. I love what Seth's doing with adding that like lifestyle element to it, because I haven't deep dived, but I think it was more about the cannabis as opposed to, you know, the lifestyle around it, or a really strong aesthetic of that.
Yes, exactly. It's the combination of the two sides of the company which are able to position themselves as, you know, everyday rather than a small niche group of tie-dye wearing ribbon stick people. Which unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever you think, we've got no judgment, that particular category has been labelled with as a stereotype.
Yeah. Or strung out teenagers in a park, you know.
Yes, exactly. So first up, the visual identity. When I found it, I scrolled and I was like, immediately, I just really loved the visual identity. So the packaging, the language they used, and like this personality that they have captured in the brand, I thought was really nice. And I liked that it didn't feel like a Seth Rogen brand. So even though obviously he's at the front, without him, you take him away, it all has this really strong foundation as well.
Just going back to like that show that I've been watching called The Studio, it almost has a similar aesthetic, which is funny.
Which is like a mid-century vibe.
Yeah. It's like a beautiful aesthetic, but yeah, it's got a similar vibe to it, but not necessarily one I would automatically attach to Seth Rogen.
I definitely do now. Now I'm like, Seth Rogen is a mid-century gentleman. Like that he... Sorry, apart from the laugh. Anyway. See, it's best when it comes naturally.
Please just break into Seth Rogen laugh. Just make that part of your personality from here on in, please.
Oh, I'm jealous. I wish I had his laugh. So anyway, the name, Houseplant. Like I was like, that is flawless. And we just talked about doing naming. Naming is so hard. But I just felt like Houseplant, like they captured obviously the homeware side with house and plant for weed. So they've got the category in the name. And it's so like neat and memorable. It fits that mid-century aesthetic as well.
Well, because houseplants were that kind of, you know, 50s, 60s, 70s aesthetic.
And also I think like they could have just gone, because it's pottery, so they could have just, you know, it would have been an E, and I'm sure they had a million names that were like leaning into pot and pottery.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Maybe like Seth Pot. Doesn't it's not as good, is it?
No, it's not. Confirm
it's not. But yeah, I think that they didn't do the obvious track.
Which would be really hard not to do.
Yeah, exactly. Like you'd just be like, let's call it the pot or something. I don't know, you know. Anyway, the other thing is what we talked about was the aesthetic, which is like retro modern and mid-century LA. But what I liked about it, and this is what I saw through when I looked at the old brand versus their rebrand, is it's very subtle. So they're not shoving 70s retro down our throats. The original brand was, you know, it used those sort of like 70 color bands, and it was browns and warm ochre colors. And then this one is like these bright poppy colors, and the mid-century comes in a much more subtle way.
You know, it's almost like cosplay. It's not a cosplay 70s brand. It's inspired by. It's a modern brand inspired by the 70s.
And I think that's like quite tricky to do, because we always are looking for references of culture and history. And the tricky thing to do is take those and reimagine them in this like 2025 way that's really new and different. And that's what I think the brand achieves, especially in the visual identity. I mean, they use a lot of mid-century styling and like photography, but in the actual brand itself, it's been dialed back into this really like 2025 version of that. So yeah, those things really stuck out to me. The other thing would be, and I mentioned like the packaging is really like, I feel like you'd get this really strong unboxing moment if you got a Houseplant brand. Like, I don't know about you, but sometimes if I get a really beautiful package, I don't throw away the box. And the agencies who did this, which was Mama, it was a collab, Mama and Practica, said that was one of the goals, was to like change something disposable into a keepsake. And I feel like you definitely keep one of these boxes if you received it. Like 100% you wouldn't be chucking it out.
Yeah, it's almost part of the product itself.
Yeah. So
yeah, I've got so many of those boxes lying around.
Me too. Like they just sit in the cupboard.
Yeah, sometimes actually now if I get a really beautiful box, it actually stresses me out because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to find a spot for it.
This is like online shopping angst. What am I going to do with the beautiful box?
Gosh, our lives are so hard.
I'm making fun, but I know that feeling. Like I'm like, to keep or not to keep? Oh, keep.
I was just going to say, just because we're talking so much about the aesthetic, you can see the visuals on our Instagram, but if you are not a native Instagram user, we'll put the links straight to those posts in our show notes so that you can just click the show notes right now and it'll take you to the Instagram post.
That's a good hot tip. Another thing I love about the brand is like this sort of self-aware humor. One thing I found on its Instagram was like Seth rolling these joints on a marble tray, and the voiceover is like a smoker of the highest sophistication. Like he's leaning in to his weed smoking gentleman era in a way that's like laughing at himself. He's not taking it I think he's not taking it seriously. We'll have to reach out to his people to confirm, but I think it's funny, but it's also not like Seth Rogen's a funny guy, so let's make everything so funny. Like I think they get just the right note. They hit the right note on that as well.
Yeah, again, it's like got that charisma.
A
little
wink.
self-aware wink. Uh-huh.
Exactly. So it won awards and it definitely rightly earned those awards. It's a brand that makes you want an ashtray even when you have no use or need for an ashtray.
Yeah, I really want one. They're really pretty. I've seen that they've also photographed them with a bit of Palo Santo. So I'm like, maybe that's how I could get one.
What's Palo Santo?
You know those sticks, like those wooden sticks that smell? It's like incense.
Oh, like incense.
Like a thick stick of incense.
Smart. They're like, this is how we can get the whole public. So yeah, that could be our entry into Houseplant products, was for burning some incense. Moving along. Another thing I liked was that it feels, and we've talked about this, so I won't talk about it too long, but it feels really like it comes from a real place. And we've said, on his feed way back, in ancient history, 2015, he was making pottery. So he wasn't commercializing it then, like it comes from this real place. And then the other thing I liked is I found this from Seth, which he said when he's designing products, he likes to think about it the same way he does when he's watching a good film or listening to a great album. He says, I like to use products that seem like they were very well considered for the purpose they serve. And that's the lens I'm always looking at.
We love to hear it, Seth.
That attention to detail is potentially could be perfectionism, but I think it's like this deep understanding of design and the product and also his audience.
Well, and I guess as well, like if you're attaching your name to something and, in Hollywood, your name is everything, that you would want to have that quality control over things. And especially when you're positioning it that like literally you can buy this thing from me that I made. It's not part of a machine, like a big marketing machine. It's something that I have crafted with my two hands. You would want things to have that level of quality.
I want to believe that in this brand. Like I don't know, like I said previously, like we don't really know the ins and outs of the teams and like the level of involvement, but in this brand, I want to believe that he's more than a front man. And I do. I think I do.
I just feel like it would always be sold out. But maybe not.
They're limited. I saw they're like a limited edition. They probably come at a higher price point. So he'll do like a limited edition range of his by Seth stuff. So they probably are always sold
I can
out.
get an ashtray set by Seth for $98, which I don't think is that much money.
Well, I don't believe that the people on Reddit agree with you there. That was like the one thing that people don't like are these like pretty bonkers price points of his.
Okay, so they're designed by Seth.
Yes.
And then crafted to his incredibly specific guidelines to the perfect ashtray set. Yeah, okay. By Seth, I feel like that makes me feel like I'm buying something that he's made. But
you want his hands to have touched
I want his
clay.
hand to have pinched that pot up painstakingly while
he
watching
does do some.
Fantasia.
Yeah. With Snoop Dogg.
With Snoop. Exactly.
Yeah. Actually, I will say this is another thing that I think is super clever that they've done at Houseplant is they actually have a houseplant house, and that's the one Airbnb collabed with. And so they've created the space which they do all the photo shoots at, which has this mid-century nostalgia feeling to it. But it's also where they do all their creative work. So instead of being in a stuffy office, in a big downtown high-rise, they're testing the products in the space that they're meant to be used in. And again, being able to do this comes with the backing of his funding, I'm sure. I think that is such a clever idea to be creating the products that they're creating consistently. Is that they're doing
that
it
the
in
team
that
is
space.
kind of immersed in it as they work.
Yeah, maybe he is sitting there all day doing bits and bobs. I'm going to believe he does. We'll get a statement later from Seth to confirm and deny.
Just reach out. Would you like to collab with Brand Odyssey?
Seth, if you're listening, one, what did you think of my impersonation? And two, are you really making pottery for Houseplant?
Reach out for a statement on our hard-hitting journalism.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so my big point, the one I teased up earlier, why I loved and wanted to cover this brand is because they are repositioning weed in the minds of the public. And I don't like using this phrase, but I will use it. Just highlights the power of branding, why it can be so important in our culture. It's not just important for the company, it has the power to change perception, which is kind of huge.
Brands do have power. Branding has so much power. Brands create perception, and perception drives the bottom line. That is the truth. And so I think now more than ever, if you're not investing in your brand, then you're playing with fire.
You're just missing out. So one line on the website that jumped out at me was, "Gone are the days of weed-loving folk homes being clad in lava lamp and tie-dye." So and we've talked about this, they've rebranded weed as something that is refined. So no more rainbow ribbons, hotboxing a Subaru. It's more mid-century furniture collector that also loves weed and good design. What we've talked about well, and you fast brain, Kylie, you thought about it right up front, is the homewares line is the key here. It gives the brand legitimacy. So I don't think Airbnb would have been able to collab with just a pure cannabis brand. It was the fact that they've got this homewares line that's open to anyone that makes it not feel underground. It feels sort of intentional.
Yeah, it feels like a gateway, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's not just about that lifestyle. It's also about, design and loving architecture and all these other aspects that is promoted through the brand. So that's basically it for me. I would say from a business perspective, this brand opens up a very smart segmentation strategy. So they can sell cannabis in Canada and some states in the US. In Australia, that website is blocked.
The cannabis website,
yes,
part of the website?
Can't go. It's actually a separate domain and it's blocked in Australia. So,
wow, okay, right.
Yeah, but anyone can access the homeware. So we can get them in Australia. Obviously, he's not the first celebrity to do this. Snoop Dogg has a line. Mike Tyson has, now this is a fun fact, Mike Tyson has a range of gummies that are shaped like ears, tiny little ears.
No! Oh my God, that's so funny.
It's kind of a little bit grotesque. Anyway, but out of all these celebrity cannabis brands, this... I mean, that one's pretty good, actually. That's definitely looking inward at what's unique.
Yeah, what is unique about them? I mean, that's
their founder story?
Yeah. It's a really strong founder story.
Really strong founder story there. But, yeah, I think Houseplant stands leaps and bounds ahead of those ones for, this whole perception change and just, the strength of the core brand. So, yeah.
Oh my God, I loved that story. Thank you for opening my eyes to the many layers of Seth Rogen, and thank you especially for that beautiful laugh impersonation. And
the only thing you need to be mad at me for is when you end up spending $160 on a random little piece of pottery that you don't need in a nice box.
For my Palo Santo. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. We know there's a lot of podcasts out there, so we really appreciate you taking the time to listen. And we would love to hear from you. So if you have any feedback, questions, or any suggestions for case studies, or even any funny creativity make or break stories of your own, we are very keen to hear from you. All the ways you can contact us are in the show notes, or simply go to our website, 3blocksleft.com.au.
And so ends another expedition into the lands of brands, brought to you by design and brand agency 3 Blocks Left.